Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2, and welcome back to, oh, how far are we? We're actually pretty far up there. We don't have a whole lot more to go to get to the port, which is Kirkenes. Yeah, we're just right around here, and then we're going to do this long boat ride up to this little tiny island. I mean, it won't be far when we get up here because there's really nothing to this island. So the only thing that I'm concerned about at all is whether or not we're going to desynchronize our audio when we get to the crossing. But I got a little trick that I know. A little trick I learned. So we'll see if we can make that happen. Now, last episode, you remember when we got in this parking lot, I said, I'm just going to, and then I stopped. I was just going to go ahead and take us up to the port, but we were already at about, I think, 35 minutes. And I thought, no, let's not. Let's not, because if I'm wrong, right, if we're already at 35 minutes, if I'm wrong, then we're going to end up at like close to an hour. And I'm really trying not to do that. Trying not to do those 60-minute videos anymore. And it's not too far from 35 to 60. So let's get turned around here. And we'll get going. So it is, normally I record these Sunday morning or Saturday, ETS, and then I post it on Monday. It is Sunday evening late, and we just had, what is it, daylight savings? Oh, we're coming into daylight savings. We're going out. We lost an hour basically, so it feels like 6, but it's 7 on the map. And in fact, 7 on the map, 7 on the clock. I am tired. I've been traveling all day. Hang on, let's hop back on the map here and see which way we go, because I can't see on my little. Looks like we go to the right. Okay. Can't see on my mini-map. I can't see any green arrows. So yeah, I am exhausted. I've been traveling all day and finally got to a stopping place. And it's weird. I hear YouTubers say this, and I mean, I didn't disagree with it before, but I really get it now. I hear YouTubers say, like, I can't wait to, like, record a video for you guys. And I get it, man, because I really do look forward to recording these videos for you. I really do. It's a really good part of my day. Come on, there we go. And I am gonna get back on the correct side of the road here. Man, this truck is, our cargo is not super heavy, and this truck has a very strange torque curve. As far as the transmission and how it hooks up, it really winds out quickly, and then when it hits 2,000 RPM, the torque just absolutely goes away. So, drop our lift axle in the rear, although I guess I could leave it up because we're about to make some turns here and then we'll be at the port. So yeah, I've been traveling. I traveled all day Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, I was, doing stuff, and then traveled all day today, Sunday, and I just got checked in. And yeah, first thing I thought was, let's fire up the rig and let's make ourselves a YouTube video, and that's what we're doing. So what do I want to talk about this week? Well, something really interesting has been happening, and I'm thinking about bringing some different sims into the channel, possibly some mill sim, maybe not, maybe yes, maybe no, I don't know. I'm really on the fence about that. And I subscribe to a channel, a YouTube channel called Digital Foundry, which is it's a very cool channel. And I think it's very different. It's very unique. Essentially what they do is they review the performance of games and hardware. Not necessarily the gameplay or the game as a game, but the game as an app. How does it look? How does it play? How do the controls respond? And they also review hardware. Well, I saw a review they just did a couple days ago of the new NVIDIA 1660, which I guess is going to be a replacement for, or at least fill the same niche as the 1070 card. And they had a lot of games that they were playing. Well, I can't even say playing. They were analyzing almost, but they would have the game running on like split screen, 3 or 4 different cards simultaneously, and then sort of a moving data ribbon of frame rate and CPU and GPU usage and various other things. Now, I mean, you know my thing. I'm all about respect. Love and respect for all people. You do you. And I back you 100%. Whatever it is that you do, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I back you up 100%. So occasionally it'll sound like I'm calling somebody out or throwing shade. Absolutely not the case. But I'm watching these guys. I assume most of them are guys. When I say guys, I mean it in a generic sense, not excluding women from gaming. But these guys, I'm watching them, and a part of me is thinking on some level, are you even into this game? And I don't mean anything bad when I say that. I mean that sincerely. Like, are you simply into the performance and the graphics of this application rather than the gameplay itself? And there are plenty of people that are more into the gameplay side of it, and these cats are really, it seem to be, just into the performance side of it. And I know we talk about 60 FPS. Like right now I'm at about 45 FPS. I think it looks fine, works for me. With these cats, it's like they are all about, they're north of, and sometimes well north of 60 FPS. We're getting into, if your monitor has 120K refresh rate, then your game needs to be running at least 120K. So numbers that I can't even get near. And of course they're all about, everything being set on ultra. And the games are really gorgeous. In fact, inspired by them, because they were talking about things like volumetric clouds and fog and various settings that you can change, subsurface scattering. I mean, really, like back in the day, games had like low, medium, and high for graphics, and now you can like fine-tune all these specific things that your card may or may not do well with. So I fired up the Division 1, and I played with some of these things. I can hit a solid 60 FPS and hold it on the Division, which is amazing to me. Now, it is a 3-year-old game, and my card's only a year old, but my card is by no means a rocket. But yeah, solid 60 FPS, and when I crank those settings up, it's unbelievable how the game looks. It's cinematic, more depth, more everything. I'm not gonna like list off all the things that I tweaked, but I can still hold a solid 60 FPS, but the game looks like 10 times better. Something interesting happened. As I was thinking about the folks from the Digital Foundry, and again, I don't know them, so I'm not calling them out. I'm not saying anything bad about them in any way. But it seems like with them, they're all about performance and less about the game itself. And I fired up Farm Simulator 19, which I'm sort of messing with a little bit, kind of dipping a toe back in there. And I realized that game looks like absolute trash compared to something like Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed, Anthem, some of these AAA next-gen games that have all those settings. And I got to thinking about what our priorities are as gamers. And I guess us sim gamers are on one side, and we're all about immersion, but our graphics, I mean, right now, like looking at this game, this is fine. I'm playing, I'm digging it, I'm immersed, everything's cool. But you put this game up against something like Tomb Raider, right? And I swear, man, if that's what you're used to, and you fire up this game, you'd throw yourself out a window. You'd go absolutely insane because this game looks 15 years old compared to something like Tomb Raider. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. Now, for this genre, for sim gaming, it's fine. Racing games, a lot of racing games really don't look very good, right? Gran Turismo looks good. It's an arcade game, it's not a racing game. Forza looks good, right? Arcade game, not a racing game. iRacing compared to Forza looks like absolute trash, but iRacing is a real racing simulator, and that's why people play it. So it got me thinking about kind of the divergence in priorities for gamers. Now here's us sim gamers playing these games that really don't look very good, but we love them and we play the hell out of them. And then on the other side, you've got these folks from Digital Foundry that are pushing the visual look of games like to its absolute limits. And now, to be fair, they test a lot of hardware, but they also hold developers accountable for whether or not games are ported properly from PC to console or console to PC, whether games are ported well at all, whether base code in games is properly written, right? And games are properly optimized. So they're doing their homework. They're not just buying a game and running it on the fastest system possible. They're analyzing games to see if they're created properly so that they run properly. on various systems. So kudos to them for that. I don't know how good they could make something like ETS or Farm Sim look. I mean, Farm Sim, the joke about Farm Sim since I've been playing it is the draw distance, right? And I look at something like Far Cry, and I think, Jesus, like you're rendering this entire valley in photorealistic, right? You got depth of field, you've got lens flare and volumetric fog, you got all this crazy stuff, and it looks amazing. And you look at something like Farm Sim, and I think you're not doing nearly as many of those things, and you're really not doing them very well. But that got me thinking about, there's an old, what is it, an axiom, an aphorism, I don't know, there's an old saying in racing, and somebody goes to an engineering firm or an engine builder or whatever, they say, I want to go fast, and the engineer says, well, how much money do you have? Because really, that's what it comes down to. You know, that's why Ferrari is faster than Force India. I guess Force India is not even Force India anymore. But you know what I mean. The more money you have, the faster you go. And I look at a company like Giants, you know, that makes Farm Sim, and they're a cool company, and I love Farm Sim, and I buy it anytime it comes out. And then you look at a company like Rockstar or Ubisoft, and they have these unbelievable budgets. And I think, what would Rockstar or Ubisoft do with the Farm Sim franchise? And then I think, if Giants made Far Cry, what would it look like? Right? You see what I'm saying? I'm not... All right. Kind of knew I was pushing my luck. You see what I'm saying? You know, I feel like those companies are doing the best with what they got, but they're... Right? I mean, I feel like I'm on the verge of repeating myself. You get what I'm saying. They're doing the best with what they got. Now, here's something funny. I also have been reading some reviews of Fallout 76, which has been out for several months now, and it hasn't gotten any better. And there are some reviews of it that are essentially saying the base code for this game is broken and cannot and will not ever efficiently support multiplayer. And wow, we're taking a beating here with the cops. So it cannot and it will not ever support multiplayer. It's just broken. Bethesda screwed up. And you sort of heard that from the beginning when Fallout 76 came out. That people said there's something wrong here. This is not like, you can't fix this with a patch. This is fundamentally and permanently and irrevocably broken, right? And these months later, yeah, it seems like that's the case. So when you get into things like that, you know, when you talk about a game being fundamentally flawed, I think that's something really kind of heavy to think about, because what do you do at that point as a developer? If that's the case, if that's the position you're in, what do you do? Hang on. Are we going in there? I believe we're going in there. Let's get this up. I guess we're going in here. Let's give it a peek. So you see what I'm getting at, and from that angle, from that perspective, what can you do as a developer? What can you do with something like Fallout 76? I see a gate here. Is this gate going to open? Do I want to be over there? I don't think this gate is going to open. Oh, wow. Good. Hey, easy. Good on you, ProMods. Okay. I'm impressed. Now, next question. Is there a boat around the corner? I guess we're getting somewhere. We seem to be making progress. So yeah, I guess that's what I realized this week, is that our favorite games, our favorite Sims, at least my favorite games, my favorite Sims, by comparison to AAA next-gen games, they look like absolute trash. And yet we love them. And then you got, on the other side, you've got these AAA games that are taking an absolute beating as far as reviews and playability. I saw a very interesting review of The Division 2. And one of the things that came up consistently was the reviewer said, you know, this game takes no political stance. And then in the comments, they got kind of lit up, and people were like, what do you mean it takes no political stance? Like, it takes a huge political stance. Now, I don't talk about politics on this channel, and if I'm doing my job properly, you don't even know what my politics are. However, as just a thinking person, I can acknowledge that there's a little tension in America right now. And I can say that without telling you what side of it I'm on. I'm simply making the observation. Jeez, bumpity bump bump. Right. And I think we're going to have to stop way back here to be on the mark. So put it in neutral. Lights off. Engine off. And let's hope it does this without affecting our audio. Looking good. Looking good. Looking good. Keeping our frame rate. Looking good. As long as it doesn't drop to 0, we're okay. And at the moment, it has not dropped to 0. But I'm going to do a little sync when we get here, just the same. So we are on this little island up here. Way up toward the North Pole. Literally the North Pole. Fantastic. So, so it got into kind of an elaborate, and not ugly. I mean, nobody was like being super dogmatic, but these gamers were talking about the politics, or at least the political ramifications of the Division and the Division 2. And something that I realized was that they were describing the role that you play as a sort of sanctioned government murderer who is killing people that have been driven to really terrible behaviors by circumstances well beyond their control. So, in other words, like, you're killing rioters, right? And we just, as we start playing the game, as we start playing something like the Division 2, we just get into it. And maybe we don't give it that kind of analysis. I've heard and read a lot of people saying, you never really get a name or identity in the Division. You're just agent. There's no story, and so that aspect of it. Now, in sim gaming, we don't have those problems. We don't need to talk about those sorts of implications because we don't have any of those implications, right? There's no story in truck sim. There's no story in farm sim. The story is I drive a truck, and I'm me, and you can be whoever you want. But we don't have those problems. So I guess what I'm saying is, you've got in that type of gaming, or in many types of gaming, you have problems that, maybe problems is the wrong word for them. You have realities that we do not have in sim gaming. And that's just the story aspect of it. And then you have the complexity of the graphics, and graphics that are constantly like pushing the limits, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's a kind of a really different take that we've got these, by comparison, relatively simple games with no story. Look at that pop-in, speaking of. Look at that pop-in. And my settings are pretty high. I got everything on high and a few things on ultra, and we're still getting that pop-in. But we put up with that. And again, if you were a AAA gamer playing on a hot rod system and you saw that sort of thing, you would lose your shit. You know what I'm saying? But for us, it's like, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, that is something that's really been on my mind. And something else that's been on my mind that I think is kind of heavy is realizing that, again, there are two vastly different ways to approach gaming. And now, since I've been spending time on Digital Foundry, I realize there's almost actually 3 ways to look at gaming. Because for me, I look at gaming as my goal is to be immersive. I want to be immersed. Now, I never actually feel like I'm a truck driver, but I do want to feel like I'm actually driving a truck. I never really feel like a farmer, but I do want to feel like I'm farming. And, when I see something like Squad, which I've been really kind of leaning into and looking forward to playing more of, I think this is kind of weird because this is what I wanted. I wanted a tactically realistic game, and then you get one and it's like, whoa, this is a little heavy. This is a little heavy. Now, people are enjoying themselves and having a good time, but we're not talking about farming or trucking. This is like the business of killing people, and not in a cartoony way. This is not Resident Evil. Like, this is, And obviously racing, no harm comes to anyone in racing, although I suppose you could have a bad accident, but you know what I mean. But different games, you know, you want to be immersed in them until you have the opportunity to be immersed in them, and then it's like maybe, well, I don't necessarily want to be too immersed, perhaps. But that's the immersion part of it. I think there are other people that just want to be good at games and they really don't think about what they're doing at all. It may be more than just simply a memory and coordination activity, something like Cuphead, you know, which is just a very specific and very controlled button mashing. But there's certainly, you know, you don't really need to be immersed in Cuphead, and you certainly don't need to care about the story. And then I guess the third way is like the folks at Digital Foundry. And again, I don't know this crew, so I'm absolutely not disrespecting them, and I'm certainly not calling them out in any way. But I look at that crew and I think, do you care about immersion or gameplay, or do you only care about the visual? Which is fine if you do. Makes no difference to me. But I guess what I'm saying is that to me adds a third possibility of being into gaming in a third way. You know, if, where is our marker? I see it way up there. If one way to be into gaming is immersed, as we are with our simulation games, and another way to be into gaming is strictly to be good at them in a technical sense, right? Tetris, as an example. And then the third way is neither of those, and to simply really be into the execution of the game, regardless of whether or not you like it, or I guess to some extent whether you even play it. Where do they want? Okay, so we do need to back in there. Whoa! Really? Thought I was going to clear it. Well, it's not like we did that just at the end of the trip. Like, could not be closer to the end of the trip, but it happens. So that's been on my mind this week, and I wanted to talk to you about it. I don't know where you come out on either of those things or any of those things. I don't know how you feel about the quality of a game and how it affects your ability to get into it, right? To get into a game. I don't know how you feel about immersion and what it takes for you to be immersed, or whether you want to be immersed at all. It is interesting to me to hear. I've heard. Because I've been doing a little multiplayer, which I haven't done in a long time, and it's interesting to hear, you know, sort of the different takes that people have on multiplayer. And some people think that being immersed is kind of sad and weird, and you know, I don't necessarily know where I come out on that, because I definitely want to be immersed. I'm making a bit of a cocked hat with this. There we go. Moment, concentrating. I don't know where I come out on that either, because I like the idea of being immersed, but I can definitely understand why some people would feel like immersion is not something you want to take too far. In fact, I feel that way. Immersion is not something you want to take too far, and at a certain point, if you do, that's a little creepy. But some immersion, enough immersion, sure, knock yourself out. I love it. But again, I think it depends on the game. If you, you know, if you want to wear a farmer hat while you play Farm Sim, that's totally cool. But if you want to, like, pretend you're in combat when you play Squad, that's a little different. You know, it really is, because that's a game about killing people, like literally killing people. Right. To unload the trailer. Oh, this is an owned trailer. Okay. So we did all right. No damage. We were on time. Beautiful. We got a ways to go before we level up. Let's do this. I just tapped my microphone, by the way, if you heard a little thump right there. Let's do this. I'm not going to pick up a job because we're at 24 minutes, and that's plenty of video for the week. But let me see what's heading out of here. And I believe we could get either of these towns. Oh. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. This seems... No, those are... Okay, yep, those are cargo jobs. Okay, cool. That's interesting. The only thing that leaves the island is trash, chlorine, hospital waste. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll haul some hospital waste or some chlorine next time. There you go, folks. Oh, you know what? Hang on now. Hang on now. Those aren't even real. Well, they're real jobs, but you know what I'm saying. They're because we're not clicking on a city that we've discovered. It's giving us jobs for the entire map. Okay, I'll find something. I'll find something to haul out of here, folks. Let's get out of this menu. Give you something a little prettier to look at, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2, and we'll see you next time. Take care now.